Hello everyone, welcome to the another episode of the podcast where we are decoding India's social sector. And today we have our very special guest, Dr. Shivani Bhardwaj. She's a researcher, network coordinator, master trainer specializing in safeguarding gender and child rights. I would call her an architect because she has done a lot of things and basically has uh, gone to the tabletop to write the policies and implemented in the ground as well. So, with a PhD in social work and over 50 publications to her name, she has been recognized as a women entrepreneur by NITI Aayog, and she has also received a Shakti Achievement Award from the Ministry of Donor, which is Department of Northeastern Region, Development of Northeastern Region, and from the Ministry. And Dr. Shivani, thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully, this discussion which we will have will going to benefit a lot of people in the sector.
I hope so too.
So you have very specific expertise in safeguarding, and you have developed safeguarding policies for major organization like Caritas India, and even trained the Bihar police on gender violence, gender-based violence (GBV). When you walk into a police station or in a large NGO, what is the biggest hurdle in making safeguarding more than just a document on the shelf?
It is the mindset of not rocking the boat. uh, and also looking at the connections the boss will have and those who will let them be complacent and not recognize that safeguarding the vulnerable people is the first most priority. So changing it in a training setting uh, requires not being steadfast about being preachy, but one can do it in a way that you uh, deal with their subconscious image of themselves as good people. So tapping on the love for relationships and humanity is what one should begin with in a training setting, yeah. And even in a day-to-day conversations.
Ma'am, how difficult is to implement and or train a police officer in terms of safeguarding? Like, do they have prior knowledge about this, or when you went there, you know about this thing is missing on them, and there are a lot of training which is required in not just Bihar but in other states as well. Did you find that?
We tried a lot independently, but getting assignments such as these need political connections. So there are layers and layers of doings which require not so nice things, such as corrupt practices, to uh, get a contract. And we come in only as consultants. This shift has happened over the past 20 years, not just in the current regime, that you got to know people to get such assignments. You can't just walk into a police station to say, "Can I train you on safeguarding?" It has to come from the above with the uh, corruption mechanism in place to be able to do what you are wanting to do.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your inputs on that. I just wanted to talk about your work on the ground. You recently, worked with Gond and Bega tribal women in Madhya Pradesh. So you helped them setting up something called Jungle Bank, which is quite a unique concept. And we just wanted to know about how it is different than the SHG women who are already doing a lot, and there's a lot of SRLMs in different states in place who are pushing the women going into self empowerment through these groups, which is similar to kind of a jungle book. But we wanted to know your concept, what it was, and what amazing work you have done with those women in the area with in terms of gender resource gap.
See, the NLRM uh, offices, whenever I've passed them, I've seen them locked. I have not seen them open. So I don't know much about what's happening within the system. But outside the system, there are people, there are forest workers, there are forest people who still will get a hide load, make a rope, and sell it in the market. So it is with those kind of people that I have worked with, and these were women from communities that still are not connected by road. So they are collecting seeds, they are collecting uh, tendu they are collecting other things, and they're selling it in the local market without any corporate cooperation in between. So they are daily wage laborers. So their jungle bank is just a way to uh, collect what they can collect within the Biodiversity Act and the other acts, which is under the Forest Rights People's Rights Framework. And since the support of the government is not there, I mean, it's there on paper, it is there on in policy, but in actual practice, it is not there. They have to develop their own systems. So a seed bank would be that instead of going to the market to buy saplings, they will collect seeds and make their own saplings, and then when they are able to store some, they will store some. And then that will be given as an SHG collection to people in need so that they break the money lenders' cycle in their lives.
So, ma'am, when you pointed out that the schemes exist on paper, the white papers which we call, but not implemented well on the ground. So, like, the scheme reach not just women, like they need political patronage, right?
Mm.
I guess you wrote a paper, and when you researched out, it's with the Dalit woman, I believe. You
Mm.
found out that in order to access the scheme, your citizenship is not only the main factor, but you have to have some connection. You have to have a godfather. You have to have a political
Mm.
connection in order to reach or access that scheme. So,
Mm.
like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, could you elaborate your finding with working with the Dalit woman in MP?
Uh, these Dalit women were brought together by a leader known as Rajni. She established the Rashtriya Dalit Adivasi and Mahila Andolan. And they looked at the schemes and they looked at what they could do, and then they thought that they will set up their own entrepreneurship platform. Small works, and that group is still going on. Unfortunately, she died very young. So Sathi for 2 years developed their leadership in looking at how should they form into a collective, how should they have a governing body, who should the leaders be, what will be the role, how will they safeguard. So we handheld them for 2 years. And then some of them started their own setups, their own businesses, and we are still in touch. So there is a WhatsApp group which is North India, spanning North Indian states, and they're still active. Some of them even fought elections. Rajni herself had fought municipal elections, but it's too complex to get into the power circuit. They stand, but they lose.
So, ma'am, what could be done on the ground to just bridge the gap since you worked both in top high level ministries and also with UNICEF and other country institutions in terms of policy making and safeguarding. So, where do you find the gap is? And like we obviously know that top to down approach is not working at all, and government has been lot pushing on to PESA and all the other acts just to empower the local community which are marginalized, especially the Adivasis and Dalits. Where do you see the gap is and how it could be, bridge? Because if a woman go, there's a challenge if she will get the loan from the bank. Then the another challenge will be if the husband takes that money. Okay, if she bypasses it, then if she wanted to buy a land, then there's a question of community, whether the community will support her in owning a land in the area. And like, let's say if she produces something, then there's a market side of it. If the other local owners will purchase her produce in the fair price or not. So there's a lot of caps and lots of challenges that women face, especially in the marginalized section. What are your thoughts on
Mhm.
it and how it could be bridged? What solution is there out, like in, it could be for the government, it could be for the general people.
See, 30 years ago, when we started our work on women and land rights, uh, uh, very few women inherited land and very few women bought land. But in today's world, there is a consciousness that I must stand on my own feet. I must have some house in my name. I must have a productive asset in my name. And I have seen the shift happening. Um, some credit could go to people like us, but most credit goes to that individual who remains steadfast in being true to their dignity, being true to increasing their resource base to do good. So this consciousness shift has changed at an individual level because institutions have crumbled and they have not delivered. The our call for women's collective has also not worked. When we say that we want the government to have the women resource zone and we want to have one-stop centers, those were started. But now they're all locked and now funds are being withdrawn. It's because the resource base perhaps still is between 14 to 16%, the gap between different genders. And in this, the transgenders are not even included, or what they have and what they have. So new research needs to be done on the transgender and the queer population, or even the orphan population, to say what do they own and what do they inherit. But the consciousness that has changed will promote new ways of working. Uh, so, in spite of whatever opposition a woman or a man or a queer or an orphan faces, they have to go on and they have to be independent in their getting resources for their daily living and for their long-term goal.
So, ma'am, there's two keywords which obviously all our viewers wanted to understand from you. First one is inclusive safe space, and second is gender resource gap. Like, how do you define it, or how do you see these things?
So the gender resource gap is the gap between women and men in access to productive assets, in access to skills, in access to natural resources. That is one bit. Then the other is in access to services, which is health, education, transport, maybe other services such as internet-based, because they wouldn't have access to a smartphone only. So they are like in the Khap Panchayat, they have said just for the class instruction, the girl will get for 1 hour. Otherwise, she should not own a phone. So there is a recent diktat to say don't expose girls to internet. So all these are services that there is a huge gender gap. And then there is the exposure and access to networks. So that is another thing. It could be religious networks, it could be political networks, it could be cultural networks. Um, because our research findings with the middle-aged woman, for example, says that even she may not have access to productive assets, resources, inheritance, money. Her social capital tides the way for her for the rest of her life. You know. So, and because of that social capital, she's still able to raise her grandchildren, and she's still able to contribute when she is not producing children, you know, and looking after them. So the gender resource gap is calculated on what is the man accessing and what is the woman accessing, both in urban areas and a rural area of a district. And based on that, we then say a woman resource zone should be planned in local planning. And that should give spaces which women could access collectively and manage collectively, even if it is not owned by them. If it is owned by them, well and good, but they need to have skills to look at how they can manage properties, how they can manage infrastructure, which is a skill that is managed in corporate control, which is controlled by men more than women. And inclusiveness is where everybody is welcome in a safe space where nobody is harmed. Now, countries after countries are becoming very exclusive and very unsafe for the outsider. Like, who is the outsider in this world? We are like birds which can fly from one to the other, but there are visa restrictions, there are national restrictions. So, inclusive is where there is no discrimination on the basis of your origin, your sexual orientation, and so on. And we tried a lot in our work for Women Resource Zone to have safe spaces, to have spaces which are accessed and owned by women, so that there are more footfall of women uh, in the public sphere. Many feminist movements take out this marches at midnight to say it should be safe for us during the day as well as the night. It is just an assertion to say that uh, at all times we need to be safe. Uh, the flip side of it is the violence that is spread out, and that we can trace back to the time when the agriculture came to the human life and there was surplus. Hmm. So then controlling the womb of the woman as the production factory for more slaves happened, and then the marriage happened to control it, and then religion happened. So one needs to understand how the balance of resources came to be controlled more by men than women, and to then understand how this reversal can take place without violence, with love, with caring, with nurturing. So safe space is also when uh, one is in a place where one feels nurtured, one feels confident that you'll not be harmed.
Similar terms, ma'am. There's a terminology also very popular in your research and your works, and also it has been seen a major concern in different countries but not in India. It's called safeguarding. Okay, so how do you see the safeguarding or preparing, or just making sure that you create an environment where there is very less chances, very minimal chances of anything wrong happening after acting on the law? Like, you act on a law, you create multiple laws and all, you make in place the bureaucracy and all of that, but before it, making sure that the space is safe, it's preventable. How important is this safeguarding to you?
Safeguarding is the basis of resource distribution. Till a person who is vulnerable, who is not capable of generating resources, whether they are a child or whether they are differently abled or they are differently oriented or they are mentally not well, to nurture them into being contributing human beings to the society, to give resources, to sustain resources, is the role of the person who has the resources at that point of time. So safeguarding is a term which is there in all policies across the world for all institutions. It is for the American Justice Department, which is handling Epstein files, which did not do anything there. It is also there for every organization that has worked, but there is widespread violence that is happening. There is widespread discrimination that is happening. So changing this system into peaceful ways of operating and nurturing ways of operating is the vision of the work of Sathi All for Partnerships. And you know that we are not alone. The song of the Beatles, that, yeah, you are not alone. There are many who thinks like this. And of course, tides will be high for the negative way of looking at things. There'll also be positive ways of um, leading lives and nurturing lives. We make it safe for everybody, where people can exercise their choices without fear, where people can contribute and work in a way that they feel is comfortable to them. Yeah. So many life, amoeba, plant, animals are all living in this earth, and they can. So we don't have to overuse in a consumptive way. We collaboration is a way of very natural way of working.
Right. And do you think a special training is required for creating awareness, or people would just be self-aware about the safeguarding issues? Because a lot of emphasis in UK has been given, and we have been pushed on from our employers, whoever is employing us. They ask us to go through this safeguarding training. You could be in the local councils, you could be in any community organization working for the people here directly as a frontline worker or an advisor or an officer, whatever it is. But the employer will push you to go through this training. And it's not just for us, it could be for the carers who are caring for someone here in UK, like a dependent who is ill or disabled or have a mental health challenge. So in India, I find this is missing, because I have talked to a lot of my friends and seniors as well. There's no such training being given to the social worker professionals so that they can create awareness on the ground when they go in. So do you see it's a problem in the structure or maybe in the implementation part? If it is existing in the white papers, then definitely. If it's not being delivered out, then is it a problem?
It is a problem because now with the labor laws being revised, you don't employ people much. It's all contracted out. And the safeguarding framework says that even if you're a volunteer, even if you're a contractor, those principles apply to you. So everybody is a worker and everybody is a consultant at this stage, without any mechanisms to hold you accountable. So laissez-faire is happening, and it's not just happening in India, it's happening across the world. So it may be happening in UK too. You have your Prince Andrew who had to step down, but in India nobody has stepped down as yet. So shamelessness is becoming a virtue. And even if you're pointing out to offenders, criminal offenders, uh, people are not stepping down. So, though I've been on sexual harassment committee of the many ministries, law firms, and schools, over the past maybe 15 years. And in these 15 years, only 5 cases have come up to me. So people don't even report, only 5 cases. And I am on the board of nearly 8 organizations for sexual harassment.
I'm surprised, ma'am. So, yeah, just holding on to that thought, like your another pillar of your work is aftercare, right? So you worked with Udyan Care to develop a program for the youth who have been wards of the states. And what happens to a child when they turn 18, like preparing for adulthood? I can see here government pushes on for employment, education, skill development, making them live independently if they are sent child, okay, here in UK. But I don't think there is a mechanism in place in India to support these children. Once they turn 18, they are left alone to figure out their life, right? So what works you have done in the past, and how do you see it? Like you have created some kind of association, All India Association as well.
I have not created it. I was on a consulting assignment with Udain Care, and that was the time they were starting this aftercare program. And UNICEF supported, and the consciousness for aftercare was, began at that point of time. And there was a PhD scholar, Aditya, who is now working for Azim Premji. He had done a lot of work. He was doing his PhD on aftercare. So he set up the first association for aftercare children, adults. And but within that 1 year, there were many associations that were set up across different states of India. And just to get that 2,000 rupees per month from the government seemed a Herculean task. And even now, I don't know how many people have really got it. So ever since the Juvenile Justice Act was instituted, that 2,000 rupees allocation was there. But not a single child availed of it, adult availed of it after passing out from the care experience. And I still don't know what a 2,000 rupees per month would really do. But there is now consciousness that we should form association and we should help each other. In practical form, when we tried to even marry off the best possible person who was an orphan, 25 families I approached. This person had a motorcycle, he had 2 houses in his name, he had a steady income, but no family in my circle was willing, no girl was willing to marry this orphan boy who was 30 at that point of time. And we tried for 3 years and we failed till we finally got a person from a small town uh, who was from his own religion.
Slightly bending towards the new labor code that came in. I know you so it's a slightly off edge to the topic, but just wanted to ask you because it's very relevant at the particular time. Government has consolidated the 29 laws and then they made the four new labor codes. Uh, there is a drastic change in the definition as well to whom we can call a labor. Okay. But then
Mhm.
there's a large impact on how it will be implemented because the government has not given any roadmap on the implementation part. How do you see this affecting the larger social sector in India? Because you have worked in different sections with different people, with different communities. How do you see these labor codes being affecting on the ground?
First of all, working with women workers has been the forte of Sathi for Partnership. So we worked with the labor unions for a very long time. construction workers, domestic workers, and the relevance for the worker will always remain. The worker now negotiates by themselves with the employer. Even as now there are systems of the labor codes, which was developed from labor board, sorry, which means like the construction workers board now has a huge amount of money which can be used at the time of death, compensation, litigation, and so on. And that work is still carrying on. What has changed is that you cannot take a corporation to court. Uh, in any case, over the years, the labor unions also have not been that proactive to litigate for workers' issues. Settlements happen outside court. Most of the time, the labor union takes a fair share and gives the share to the worker. So there are problems on each side of human mind getting corrupted. Even the vulnerable person at times, their fight may be very legit, and at times they are not going through organized efforts, and they are going through individual negotiations to come out of their particular problem. So it is happening one on one rather than through a legal mechanism. Because even the courts today in India have lost their power to support the victim.
Right. Ma'am, also like the fund, like I would say it's similar, or maybe we can call it almost a fundamental right, which is right to strike. So
Mm.
there has been a change on how you can do it now. So they have to,
Mm.
I mean, if you are an union, or if you are a community of laborers who wanted to do a strike, you have to give uh, a certain amount of day of notice before striking out.
Mm.
and
Yeah.
and also, like, there if a committee approach you, the managing committee or the administration approach you for negotiation and all of that, you have to stop the strike and negotiate on the table. Even if the
Mm.
negotiation drags on to months, like, they don't care. But you can't
Mm.
sit outside and protest, which I believe was one of the fundamental rights of the workers. It's not being formally recognized as a fundamental right, but it was, basically, as the government or the constitution says in their quote unquote words. So how do you see this affecting their right to raise up the voices?
Uh, Social media, I think, is helping a lot. uh, and that this technology wasn't really there when people would come out on the streets. Uh, in spite of that, in Uttarakhand, for example, on the rape case, on many other things, there is a call for bunds, and it's happening. There is a call to gather, and it is lawfully there is police cordoning of the traffic and so on. So it is still taking place. Uh, 2 years ago, I think there was fear, and curtailment happened. Especially student politics was handled very brutally. Um, but now people are speaking up because there is less work, and when individually people are approaching, they are not agreeing to working on lower money. And there is money for those who are wanting to apply to employ. So development has given cash in the pockets of those who want to get work done. Only that it's not controlled by the human rights framework and the labor rights framework. So people like the National Alliance for Labor Rights, with whom I associate, who are giving uh, meeting opportunities for many people to even speak out and to say what they would want as their dream framework. And situations have changed quite completely with technology. So, and people are still getting together. Uh, Social media is full of mass protests. That's another matter that those who want to not hear are not hearing. But there's enough that is being said on the streets. Uh, a strike will be for those who are employed, but there are not many employed. It's contractual part-time work, cut into many small jobs being done by different people, uh, at site, off site, so on. So even for unions to understand what to do, it's taking time.
So, ma'am,
Yeah.
uh, you are a master trainer and you guide a lot of people. Also, just wanted to ask you about what advice do you have for the young professional who has started working or who will be started working or will be starting their work on the development sector, like they're fresh, new, early in their careers. I wanted a guidance from someone who has done a lot of work in terms of gender violence protection and all of that you do.
Mm, Depth in work comes from a lot of reading and understanding, setting aside time for planning, looking at strategic ways, um, and also understanding that charity is as important as development. So, but a person who's just starting out working as an employee who has to do a particular job, you have to be true to your hours and you have to be true to your contribution required. And to see that if there is a skill gap, you ask for training in that, but within the time frame, you have to deliver. So for any assignment that I have had, I have delivered. But at times I have not had repeat assignments because the employer has asked me to word my recommendation in a certain way, and I have not listened to it. So I have not had repeat assignments. So it's really a individual choice. If you want to have repeat assignment with the same employer, you then listen to them, and then you compromise the safeguarding of the people that you are voicing your concern for in your document. Are you working for the employer or are you working for the vulnerable section? So there's always a very thin balance. Like in Afghanistan, I was doing a gender training, and the kind of documents I got, I said, wow, they are much ahead of India. What all are they talking about? And when I actually went to the situation on the training, they told us, look, if we do anything, the Taliban will kill us. So for the funder, we have to write all this. So please make a document for the funder and be very clear that you're not here to change us. We will be what we will be. So yet when there was training happening, and it was a training on training water engineers on how to build uh, better hand pumps and better toilets. I asked a woman from the field to come, and I asked her, what kind of a toilet would you want? And she said something in her Pashto language. And she went on and on and on. And I said, what is she saying? So she said, all rubbish. I said, please translate. I said, I want a bathroom, a toilet where I can go with 5 people because I'm constantly pregnant. There's a child in my hand. Another one wouldn't leave my arm. Another one will catch my leg. And I am in love with this eldest son of mine. I want him to be standing outside the toilet where I can see his head and his feet, that he's there alive, because there is bombing going on everywhere. So I need space to go. Otherwise, I will just go out in the open with everybody, all my people who I have to protect. And in the UN office and at ITI International Center, I saw such a design 2 years later. I said, wow, this is the same design this woman was talking about. It was not in her village in a mountain area, but it was in this big place where there was a place to also feed the child, and there was a little couch in the bathroom. So the point is that wherever you are, you have to listen to the Antodaya person, and that must get inside the document. Someday the document will be read, even if it is not considered to be budget-friendly intervention for the profit-oriented employer. Yeah.
I believe this was a very fruitful discussion, and we got in touch with all the works you have done in the area. And as I say, you are an architect because you have hands on experience in not just doing something on the policy level, be it nationally or internationally, but you have worked with a lot of groups, a lot of communities in the ground, actually trying to implement those white paper policies. Okay, so that's why I call you as an architect of one of the architecture in architect in social sector, and you have an extensive experience of policy making.
This interview has become about me, but
Yeah,
the organization consists of so many people,
right.
Founders. Each one has this wide
Would you like to say
knowledge and
something
contribution.
about the people who worked shoulder to shoulder alongside you?
Yeah, yeah. So there was a founder, Deepika Nair, who worked on mental health because she was a carer herself. And we started a clubhouse where every month we met people who had mental health issues in their home. There was Ashita Mittal, who was in the UN, and she contributed by building governance systems. To Pranjali, who did so much and is still continuing doing to motivate people on resource generation. There's Vandana. There are so many people. So I'm not alone. It just became an interview about uh, the organization without mention of the people. So there are many, many more who are making us work and promote equality and inclusivity.
Right. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your kind words and also enlightening us with what works you have been doing with such an
And thank you
amazing
for
person.
researching so much for the questions. I was very surprised that you took that much time to understand the work.